This is the Stories from the Field podcast, a Delaware Farm Bureau production, sharing real stories from local farmers while educating the public on the agriculture industry.
So featured on this episode today is someone that I know very well. This is my father, Shane Carter. He has actually worked in the poultry industry for over 25 years, working as a service technician as well as managing his own broiler houses. So we brought him here on the podcast to learn a little bit more about the poultry industry and some behind-the-scene aspects of farming chicken houses. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how your operation started.
Like you said, I've been in the poultry industry for 30 plus years now. I started as a service tech with Purdue, and I've been with other companies as we go along. Probably around 20 years ago, wife and I decided to venture into the poultry industry on our own. So we built the house in 2007, and this is where we've been so far. And it's been a good run, it's been a good life for us, and yeah, it's been pretty neat.
Great. So, for those that don't know maybe the poultry industry, can you give us some like poultry farming 101? So basically like, what is the broiler chicken cycle? What's the timeline? Things like that for people that maybe don't know.
Now in Delmarva, we have 5 companies. Each company has their own program. So depending on what you like to grow money-wise, it can go anywhere between 5 weeks or 9 weeks of age before the birds move. All companies on the shore are integrated, so the farmer is contracted to the company. So they sign a contract and they grow the chickens for the company. They have to supply the housing and the labor, and it depends on how many houses they want to build or decide what they want to, commit to the company. And usually you can get anywhere between 4 flocks a year up to 7 flocks a year, depending on what cycle you grow.
And what type of chickens do you grow?
I grow the all females. So some companies in the hatchery, they actually sex the birds. So they separate them from day one to male or female. And we have all female on our farm. And then the other farm would be all male. Typically they grow between 50 to 52 days and average around 7 pounds. It's been a good.
What does a typical day in the life look like for you? Just run us through your day. I know you also work as a service technician, if you could touch on that too, and how you manage, working your poultry houses as well.
The biggest thing with your own farm is there's no set time you have to be there. So technically, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. You can show up at 9 o'clock, you can show up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But the sooner you go on the farm and make sure all the equipment's working properly, then you can, stay ahead of any problems that you might have. Obviously, technology we have today with controllers has advanced a lot for the grower because you can get all your information on your phone now. Before you had to physically come down, check everything. Now if there's a problem, you can see it on your phone and decide if it's urgent or not to come down right away. And typically we'll check between 2 to 3 times a day. And depending on the age that they are, you might have to visit a little more. Right now we're in the summertime, the weather's getting very warm, so sometimes you might have to check a little more to make sure everything's working properly.
And what specifically are you checking on when you say check the chickens?
Yeah, I know that's a general term that we use, but typically when I come in, I make sure that there's no water leaks because we have a drinking system for the birds, and then there's no feed spills. Sometimes a feeder might get hung up and it's not actually giving the feed into the house. Any type of fan during the summertime that might not be working, to make sure you find the problem. Sometimes it's the belt, sometimes it's the motor, and the key to it all is to react as soon as you can. You shouldn't wait for days and days to make a change or fix something. It should be done within 24 hours. That way you're more efficient with the house and you're getting that bird a proper environment.
Yeah, give a little bit of insight on your job as a service tech and what that encompasses.
So what I do is I am the contact person for the company to the farmer. So usually it could be good or bad. Sometimes if the grower is having some problems, then you're the guy they see. And but the biggest thing I feel like is it's a relationship, and the relationship has to be a two-way street. You have to work with the grower, and your main goal is to make them succeed. If they do better, they make more money, I think they're going to be a little happier. So what we do is we check feed, monitor health, making sure the flock is on track to get to movement. So there's a lot of communication, a lot of things that we talk to the grower about, and making sure that the flock goes as smooth as possible.
That's great. Now, I know there was a lot of talk this past winter with AI and biosecurity, and it was a tense time in the agriculture industry. What are some best management practices that you follow or biosecurity measures that you take on your farm to prevent these diseases?
The biggest thing that we've learned over the years is making people aware of where their weak spots are. The biggest thing with any disease is mostly its physical contact. So the less people you have entering your farm, the less avenue of any disease problems. But we have things in place. If people have to enter, we have a sign-in log. They can't go past the mailbox at the beginning of the lane. They have protective personal wear that they use, disposable coveralls, disposable boots, and then they dispose of that every time they leave the farm. So they have to wear new gear at every visit before they enter the farm. And we have foot baths before we enter the house physically that they can step in and keep the bacteria levels down. And hopefully all that in place will help spread at least the AI situation, because the AI situation is very detrimental to the industry.
That is very true, yeah. I definitely think that taking precaution is important for any farmer, especially preventing the spread of the disease, and it's detrimental to poultry farmers to have that impact their flocks. So definitely is great that you're taking practices to prevent it. And I know that you also really value conservation and stewardship. What are some practices that you've implemented here on your farm to help manage nutrients better?
So the good thing about Delaware and Delmarva is there's a lot of programs that's through the state and federal. We're actually sitting on a concrete pad at the end of the houses that's used for, if there's any manure that comes out, it's easier to clean up and there's no runoff. If you look around this, you can see that the windrows we have as far as the tree lines. That was a program we implemented through the state and DENREC. And there's a lot of cost sharing that goes in through the state. Definitely something to look into. I think each grower has an opportunity for cost share. The manure structure was cost shared. So a lot of the practices for runoff, any type of manure related, there's programs out there that people can use.
Yeah, definitely should look into those programs, and it benefits not only you, the farmer, but also the environment. So it's great that you've implemented some of these. What would you suggest or give advice to any new beginning poultry farmers before they enter this industry? What should they know?
I think the biggest takeaway is the time that you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. There's no set clock for farming. You get up early, you can go to bed late. It depends on what you want to put into it. Now, one thing with the chickens, when the chickens are in, you usually don't go too far. That's probably one of the things that people misunderstand is if something goes wrong, you're still responsible to take care of it. Yeah, we have computers, we have stuff on our phone, but at the end of the day, the owner, the grower, is still responsible to take care of the problem. And the biggest thing is, I think it's something that a family can put up houses and be family oriented, because you can stay home and work and get your family involved if they want to be. And it's and you're feeding the world. I keep saying that, is you're feeding the world because it's a product that people eat every day.
Yes, that's some great advice, and I definitely love to eat chicken, so I can benefit from your work as well. How do you plan to grow your farm in the future, and what kind of technology have you already implemented maybe to help progress?
As far as the growth here, we only have a certain amount of acres, so we don't have any expansion planned for chicken houses. The biggest thing we did last year is we upgraded our controller to a newer system, and that's been beneficial because it's given me the opportunity to use my phone, because when I do work during the day, I can check the house, make sure everything's okay, and I'm not stressing over, trying to get back if I need to.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely having the technology on your phone is a big game changer for ease of use and efficiency. What is one thing that you wish that maybe the public knew that was a common misconception about agriculture or regarding poultry?
I think the number one thing that comes to my mind is the feed that we use for the chickens. I think there's a misconception that people believe we still use steroids and hormones in chickens, which is totally not true. Steroids and hormones have been outlawed since the 60s. So that's really not even a conversation anymore. The biggest thing we do is we focus on a great diet and good genetics. So we pick and choose great feed, good calories in will give you good calories out. So our goal is to be so efficient with getting a good weight for the chicken and being very efficient on the feed used. And that's all the company's goal. And I think we spend a lot of money and time to make that happen. And these facilities that we have on the shore are state of the art. They're very expensive, but we control the environment almost 24/7 for this chicken to grow at an optimal rate. And that's the goal of the poultry industry.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't think about how much science and technology goes into feed and how you're feeding your birds well. And that's definitely a common misconception is, the public may be worried about hormones or steroids added in their chickens, but that is not at all true today. And we know that they are not used in chickens. So that's good that you clear that up. I understand that you recently took on an adjunct teacher position at Delaware Technical Community College, and you're teaching poultry production. Can you give a little insight into that class and who you recommend take the class or your experience with it?
Yeah, that's an opportunity that I got this past year. It's kind of full circle because I'm an alumni of Del Tech. I went to school for poultry science associates. They don't offer that program anymore, but what they offer is a class on poultry production management. And it encompasses I think a general ag degree. I feel like I've been in the industry long enough that I feel like I have the information and knowledge to give back to the next generation and make them understand where their food comes from. Because I think there's a bigger disconnect between each generation from the farm, because there's not as many farms as there used to be. So it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot about teaching, and my wife recently retired from teaching, and I understand what's involved on teaching someone and making them understand. And Del Tech offers this class in the spring semester, and it's poultry production management. And I think we take it from the chick all the way to the market. So we see all aspects from start to finish, and I think it really covers a lot of ground, and I think it's been good.
That's great. That's such a great experience. Students should definitely look to take this class if they want to learn more about the poultry industry, and it's great that you're not only feeding the next generation, but now you're also teaching the next generation. So it's really inspiring and really beneficial to these students to take this class and learn a little bit more about it. It's been a great conversation here. We have definitely learned a lot about the poultry industry, and I definitely think that our members and the public will learn something new and hopefully take that with them the next time they're purchasing chicken in the grocery store and know a farmer that's behind the work of it. And I just want to thank you for allowing us on your farm.
I appreciate the time you gave me. I appreciate Farm Bureau setting this up, giving me the opportunity to share some of the information, hopefully make more people educated about the poultry side and make them aware of, it is a great community and it's a great piece to the Delmarva Peninsula.
That's right. Delaware agriculture is the #1 industry, and definitely the chicken industry has a big part in that. And it's great to hear from a grower and service tech and hear your point of view as well. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Stories from the Field podcast. We'll catch you next time for our next episode.